Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison and Sean again tonight. How we doing, fellas?
Good boys.
Good boys. What's up?
Not much. Another crazy week of baseball. We'll get right into it. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Leading off, let's just start at the top.
Well, can I jump in real quick, Nick, and throw
an
extra headline in there? So I think we need to take a moment to recognize skipper Sean Bogue on his first win tonight.
Oh, yeah,
That's
dude.
right.
Holbrook JV, baby. First win of the year, man. 15-3. Thank you. It was first win under the belt. 1-1 on the season. Young season. 2 games in. 1-1. So we'll keep it
Packed
rolling.
them up and got out of there. 10-run rule.
Yeah, 10-run rule. Yeah, 15-3. So so we were up 10-0. We were the road team. So we were up 10-0. And then we needed to keep it with like 10. And then we were able to tack on like a couple of extra. We tacked on like 3 or 4 more in the top of the fourth. Then they ended up like scattering 2 across, but like we were still good. So it was those were big runs.
Nice.
Sick. Yeah, it's so much.
Man, it was good. Appreciate that. Appreciate the shout out.
It's awesome. All right. So we'll start off at the top here with the streak that the Tampa Bays are on that hopefully the Red Sox will end tonight. But the Tampa Bay Rays are 9-0. They have outscored their opponents 75-18 in these 9 games, and every single game they've won by 4+ runs.
Pretty good.
It's really good. I mean,
yeah,
we kind of talked about it. They've played the Tigers, the A's, and it was the third team.
Washington.
Yep. So your bottom tier teams, however, they're still pro lineups, and to beat them by 4+ runs every game, I think is pretty damn impressive. But hopefully the
pro-ish lineups, yeah. But listen.
4A. They're 4A teams.
Good teams lose to bad teams all the time. That's why it's games. It's why it's series, not just individual games.
Yep. So
winning 9 out of 9 is impressive. It's an impressive thing. The Rays are good, man. The pitching is really good. I've always said it about the Rays ever since Kevin Cash has been their manager. Like they roll out of bed and they win 90 games. They
do.
They make you every time you beat them. They make you earn it. They don't make errors. They pitch very well. The bullpen's always really solid. And they scrap together enough hitting. They got some star power now with I like Yandy Diaz. Obviously, Wander Franco is his own animal. Randy Arozarena. But they're, it's all banging on all cylinders for them right now. Brandon Lau, I mean, this dude is one of the better hitters on the planet right now.
Yeah,
like with the way he's touching the ball. So they're good. I mean, I Sox have to go down there for 4. I think it'll be competitive. I could definitely see the series ending like the Rays winning 3 out of 4, but I think the games will be good. I just think this Red Sox lineup, the way that they put the ball in play, they don't strike out a ton. They're a similar way where they kind of make you earn it. Like the Red Sox are a little bit sloppier defensively, especially now with Kike at short, but like they're kind of going to make you earn it too. I could just see them being good games. The problem the Red Sox have had, and I'm going on my Red Sox tangent here, the problem the Red Sox have had this year early on is the starting pitching has been just giving up way too many home runs. Our starters are obsessed with giving up home runs. They are just they roll out of bed and they're like, I'm going to give up 5 home runs today. It's infuriating. Pavetta's been awesome tonight so far.
Yep.
If the Red Sox starters can keep the ball in the park, the bullpen's been good. The bullpen's been really good. So I guess that's my long way of saying I think this is going to be a good series.
Yeah, I mean, the balls flying out of Fenway during that Pirate series was just like insane to watch, first of all, because I mean, both teams were hitting them there for a while. But I mean, you're right. I mean, our pitchers were just middle all series long.
Right.
I mean, and Brian Reynolds, O'Neill Cruz, R.I.P. in peace. Like we'll get to him, but
he's alive.
Like he's alive.
He's alive.
Yeah.
He's alive.
Sorry.
Don't be afraid.
I was saying that to his season pretty much, but sorry.
Right. He's alive.
Yeah. I mean, everything was middle, cock shot down the middle. Like it was bad. It was definitely bad. But I mean, we'll see. I'll see what this this series is definitely going to be a good benchmark for the Red Sox to see where we are, see how we play without Duvall, and see if we can score without him. For sure.
I think, as Sean said, we knew the Rays were going to be good. I don't think we realized they were quite as deep as they are, because they're getting contributions up on that lineup. The bullpen's been lights out. The starting pitching has been good. But I certainly picked them to make the playoffs because I thought they would be able to hang in there long enough because of the talent they do have. But everything's working, and I've got a newfound respect for Randy Arozarena after watching him in the World Baseball Classic. He is electric. He's exciting. Having Wander Franco in there with him, it's like Batman and Robin. I'm not sure who's Batman, who's Robin, doesn't matter. The way they play off each other it's a lot of fun to watch. And that team is it's a shame nobody in Tampa cares, because they're that's a really solid ball club.
Yeah, they are.
And like Sean said too, like their pitching is just absolutely insane too. I mean, McClanahan at the top, and they don't even have Tyler Glasnow back yet.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
They're only going to get better.
Yeah, crazy. Next thing I have, Sandy Alcantara picks up where he left off. He throws a complete game shutout against the Twins. He goes 9, dominates.
That game lasted under 2 hours. That game was an hour and 15
hour and 57.
minutes. Or 57. Yeah, it was incredible.
Insane.
Silly.
Dude, there was one point I was doing homework, and I'm like, oh, am I checking on the game? I checked in on the game. I was like, oh, the game started like 45 minutes ago. It was like the 6th inning.
Yeah.
I'm like, this game just started like 40 minutes ago.
I literally, I was in the same boat. I watched like the first and second inning. I got up and I took care of the dishes and cleaned stuff up. Came back. It was like in the 5th or 6th inning. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, it was incredible.
Even this Red Sox Tampa game tonight, it started at 6:45.
6:45.
It's in the middle of the 7th. It's like,
yeah,
it's mind blowing. It's awesome.
I will say, and I'm not sure if we're going to get into this later or not, but I will say the one thing I've heard about the clock is that MLB is very worried about the fan experience, because the pace of play has changed what it's like to physically be there. And that's the one piece of feedback MLB is getting, is that the fan experience in the ballpark is changed. And because of concession lines and all that other stuff, people feel like they're missing more of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of joked about it a little bit last week about getting beers and hot dogs before we sit down in Baltimore together, because like if I'm standing in line, I'm going to miss the first 3 innings. You know, like I go in the middle of the 3rd and I come back in the 7th. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's yeah, that sucks. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. It's something that they'll have to, maybe make adjustments to. But I'll tell you this: I for somebody that goes to like a small handful of baseball games a year, I hope they don't change the way that the game is flowing, because like Greg and Jeff are not happy because they missed a whole inning waiting for beers. Like, that's crazy to me. Like,
I agree.
I get it. Like, I get it. Like, but the product that you have on the field right now, with everyone, well, I shouldn't speak for everybody. I know we were skeptical about how this pitch clock was going to be implemented within the game and how much it was going to impact the game. And it really hasn't. It really hasn't been much of an impact on the negative side. We've seen obviously the pace play has been much better. We've seen offense has been exploded. We've seen some good pitching performances, but really offense has carried the day for the first 2 weeks of the season. And it's been a largely good experience of good baseball games.
Yep.
Don't ruin it because people are upset about long concession lines. Like, that's just something you as a fan you're just going to have to get used to that. You as a fan are going to have to make an adjustment. Well, and like, you yell at those players to make an adjustment. You now have to just make an adjustment. That's how that works.
They can make an adjustment too, and just maybe double the vendors and have them go, and just buy beer from your seat, or just put a tap at the back of each seat and call it a day.
Those are the premium seats.
Yep.
They will do things like that. I mean, they're if they're smart, and they are smart. These are business people. They're not dumb. They don't get to these positions by being stupid, but they're going to take their time.
Well,
they're
unless you're in Oakland.
They're going to let the data come in. They're going to understand that they know what they're looking at, and it's going to take a while. It's probably going to be until next season. Like, they're not going to be doing stuff too soon. But listen, I'll tell you this:
that might be the first time, Sean, you said the front office of baseball wasn't stupid.
No, man. You're probably right. But I don't. I think it depends on what we're talking about. All right, we're gonna move on.
Anyways,
Move on.
Keep going.
so it's Sandy Alcantara. I said throws a complete game shutout. Ken throws this in the chat. He gave up 9 earned runs tonight.
Oh,
So-
geez. I didn't even see that yet. Yikes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they played
I knew
Philly.
he'd given up a couple, but yeah.
Well, and the
So
funny thing with that
anyways, yeah, those-
complete game, I'm not even sure Alcantara broke a sweat. Like he was just rolling through that game the whole time.
Crazy. And then speaking of giving up long balls, the Mets went into Milwaukee. Scherzer gives up 3 straight homers to the Brewers in that outing. That's just something that you don't see Max Scherzer do.
No.
Yeah, he was. I think he was absolutely. I think the pitch clock worked against him in that sense. I think he was gassed.
Yep.
I think he was absolutely gassed. And just the Brewers, real quick. If it's not for the 9-0 start for Tampa, the Brewers are getting quietly not talked about at all. They're 7-2. I mean, that is. They jumped out. I had the Cardinals winning the division. I had Milwaukee in the wild card spot. I look like an idiot now. I mean, it's early on, but 9 games in, 7-2, and they look really good. They look healthy. They look like they did. Attaboy, Kike. They look like they did 2 or 3 years ago when they had that 1-2 punch of Burns and Woodruff. Woodruff is back. Woodruff looks awesome. He looks awesome. That's a team that I can see quietly kind of just keep plugging away, and then all of a sudden you look up in middle of May and you're like, they've won 30 games. What?
Yeah.
They're just really, really solid. Really solid.
Well, and I couldn't understand everywhere I read. Everybody's so high on the Brewers, and I looked at that roster and I kind of went, really? Yeah, I mean, it looks like a decent. I think they're gonna have good pitching. They've got maybe enough offense, but I did not see them being as complete as they have been. But boy,
I didn't either. Mm-hmm. They sure do.
I think their big question mark is their pitching. There's no doubt that these guys are talented.
Yeah.
And when they're on, they are close to unhittable. Corbin Burns is filthy. Brandon Woodruff is filthy. But you look at last year's track record, they were not very good. They were not consistent. The year before, Burns wins the Cy Young. I think it's a consistency piece for the Brewers. We will see, how much stamina they have, as the season gets cranking. But, I mean, again, the NL Central is kind of up in the air, right? I mean, it's a 3-team race, really.
Yeah.
And who knows what the Pirates are? The Pirates are off to a good start. They're in second place right now. So
Pirates are off to a real good start. Yeah. Losing O'Neal Cruz obviously is going to be tough. It's tough from a perspective of O'Neal Cruz being kind of a
centerpiece,
spark plug kind of. Well, just because he's just he can do anything. The game could turn on its head when O'Neal Cruz is at the plate.
Right.
He's not a 300 hitter. He's not a Gold Glove. I mean, he's fine defensively. He's good, but he's not. It's just there's just something about something about an exit velocity of 112 that just gets the boys going, even if it's an out. You know what I mean? It's and it's you're missing that. That's a big piece to miss for a while. So I still think the Pirates, they're surprising in that sense. I think the pitching's been good. It's not been great. They mentioned it quickly in the Red Sox series, and it's crazy they end up sweeping the Sox, but that the Red Sox, up until that, it was maybe the second or the third game in the series, they said the Red Sox lead baseball in pitches middle, which you're thinking, no shit, we've given up 1,000 home runs.
Right.
Yeah.
The Pirates were just right behind them. The Red Sox were dead last. The Pirates were third to last. So it's the pitching's been good, but they've been getting away with some stuff.
Right.
Instead of those balls getting squared up and hit over the fence, it's maybe a 2-out double instead of a home run or something like that. It's just they've been getting away with it a little. So I don't know. Maybe keep an eye on that. Maybe you expect, the water's going to find its level. Maybe the Pirates start losing some of those games instead of winning. But, they've been a pesky team. They've been fun to watch. They're in games. Even the games they've lost, they're kind of in them.
And their bullpen's pretty good. Their bullpen's there. They have a good bullpen.
I love their closer. We talk about Vogelback. I mean, David Bednar is he looks like a bulldog. He looks like the face and the neck. He looks like a bulldog. And then secondly, tell me you don't want to go have 13 beers with this guy after the game. He looks like a blast. He looks like a blast. Yeah. I love him. I absolutely love him.
Yeah. He's the guy that looks like he should throw hard, and he does.
And he does.
He's just a big son of a gun, and he just throws gas. But he's got good stuff. All right, and then
And he
the
looks
last,
I'll tell you, he looks like he could take on a double team block too. Like he looks like he could be a defensive tackle. He's
easily,
huge.
easily.
Yeah, who was the closer for the Padres for a little while there? Heath Bell. You know,
Yeah, also a linebacker.
Exactly. Another guy looked like he could have jumped out and played football.
This guy would feed Heath Bell his lunch. David Bednar would feed him his lunch.
Oh, my
Easy.
goodness. Yeah. The last thing I have for leading off was Carlos Marmol benches Tyler O'Neill for dogging it around third on an absolute seed from Ronald Acuna from the outfield to hose him out at home. And so there's a lot of like mixed feelings about it. O'Neill felt like he wasn't really dogging it. The clip shows him kind of hesitate and pull up a little bit. I mean, he's out by 6 steps. Honestly, I think if he's going full speed, he still gets hosed.
Probably still out by 3 steps.
Right. But it was just Marmol being the manager and being like, hey, dude, we're not going to tolerate that. We go balls to the walls here. Like, what was your feeling on it? What was your takes on that?
I like it, and I'll explain why. That team lost massive veteran leadership in the offseason in Yadi Molina and Albert Pujols, who absolutely would have pulled that kid aside and said, hey, we don't do it that way here. Those guys are gone, so Marmol's got to kind of reset the table. And then the flip side of that, too, is that you've got a lot of young players that have come up. You've got an outfield with like 2 years of total MLB experience.
Yep.
Got a lot of young guys. You've lost your big veteran presence. And I think Marmol's trying to make a statement. We're going to play Cardinals baseball. This is how it's done. We don't do it like this, kid. Everybody take note.
I don't disagree. I don't love the way he went about doing it. Like I like the message. I agree with the message because I probably would have too. But I think you said it well at the beginning, and you said that guys like Yachty and Pujols would have pulled him aside and said, we don't do it that way. I think it's the way Marmol should have done it. Pull him aside, tell him in his office, in the coach's room, hey, that's not the way we do it. You're going to sit for a couple games. We'll tell the media it's for whatever reason.
Yeah,
you
day
pick
off,
the reason.
rest day.
We'll tell the media maintenance. We'll tell the media, I don't know what.
Like
whatever.
Your 7th kid, paternity leave.
Well, yeah, but you're sitting, and
Antonio
you know why
Cromartie?
you're sitting.
Yeah.
You know why you're sitting.
Mm-hmm.
The clubhouse knows why you're sitting, and we're going to leave it at that. I think that probably would have gone over a little bit better. I think the problem that he has now is Marmol now kind of, that's a big card to play, right? Like if the team doesn't respond, like if the team doesn't respond to that, and let's say Tyler O'Neill specifically doesn't respond to that, like what's your next step?
Right.
Like,
it's kind of the last resort. That's usually
where do you go? Like, what's your move now?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like he was in such a rush to like show that he was the boss, which I'm totally fine with because you are the boss. It's your club. But like maybe crawl before you walk in that sense. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I didn't love the way that it went down. That's all.
I'm kind of with you. Marmol did come out and say, he's like, I don't think Tyler O'Neill kind of really understands what kind of player Tyler O'Neill can be. And that was my way of showing him that, hey, like, I expect you to be the top-notch player that you are. And he doesn't think that Tyler O'Neill upstairs really realizes that this guy could be a superstar in this league. This guy hits the ball hard. He has got wheels for days. I mean, he's a great, great player. And I think kind of like what both of you said, I think it was just the wrong way to do it at this point. Listen, if he's pulled him aside 5 or 6 other times and it hasn't worked, okay, now it's time to call him out in front of the media, like as a last resort type of thing. But this was, as we know, his first incident of dogging it. I mean, he could have had
exactly
right. Yeah. So he could have had spots before. And Marmol was like, listen, dude, this isn't how we do it. But I think your point, Harrison, of the veteran leadership kind of going away. I mean, I think it's time for Goldschmidt and Arenado to kind of take the torches. Wainwright, when he comes back from his pulling groin, his pulled groin.
So did you say he was pulling his groin?
Pulling his groin, yeah.
Easy.
That was not on purpose. But I mean, Wainwright's present in that dugout. I mean, he should be in there anyways, even though he's on the shelf. but I think you're right overall. But
Yeah, and I think the message. I like the message he sent. I like the fact that he dealt with the issue. But yeah, the one thing that caught me off guard is when he told the media, "We have a standard here, and you've got to play to that." When he specifically called him out after the game, I thought that was a bit of a bold move, unless you've had problems with him in the past, which we don't know about. So I like the message he sent, but I agree. I think the way he sent it was a bit aggressive.
yeah,
It could have been handled internally. It could have been handled quietly. And I agree with you, Sean. I think that if this team sees that as a power move and they don't respond to it, then yeah, he may have just stepped in it and made himself a hell of a path forward here. If everybody's cool with it and moves on and they play baseball and everything's good, nobody will talk about it again after a few more days. But message sent, message received. Probably could have done it in a slightly better way, more private way, but I guess we'll see how they respond.
and he's young too, right? He's like 30 something, right?
Who are we talking about?
Marmol.
Yeah, he's a younger guy.
I mean, he's got players in the dugout that are older than him. So
I think ultimately it's going to come down to this is a team that was expecting to be better. It's a team that's gotten off to a kind of start. Not bad. I wouldn't call it. I haven't watched a ton of Cardinal games, but I wouldn't say it's been a bad start. Just an start.
Yeah.
I think they're all, Carlos Marmol included, I think they're all just kind of frustrated that they're not really winning the way they want to win. Yeah. And if something like this hits the reset button and O'Neill takes his medicine and he's out for however many games, 1 game, 2 games, whatever, and they start winning ball games, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. You keep losing ball games, you keep losing series, you keep falling further and further behind Milwaukee. Now what do you do?
Right.
Like now, if you start calling every player out in the media, now you're just that manager that no one wants to play for because you're just going to get called out in the media. So it's like, you hope it just hits a reset for them and say what it is.
Yeah, I mean, and their offense has been relatively putrid, minus a game or two here and there.
It's not been great.
No, so if there's a thought that he might have been safe and that changes the game, I can understand Marmol's frustration. But and I think a more experienced manager would handle that differently. Like I think of Alex Cora in was it the ALCS when he pulled Eduardo Rodriguez aside when he was doing the watch thing back to Correa and he grabs him by the back of the head and pulls him in close and whispers in his ear, basically, we don't do that stuff here, kid. And Erod was totally calm after that. Like there's a way to handle that where you can get the message across without making him look like a schmuck. And you are walking a fine line there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rafi's got the bases loaded in the top of the 8th. He just took a 92-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle at the knees and fouled it back.
Oh,
97 out of 100 times. That's coming through my window. Come on, Raf.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't start pressing with the Duvall injury here, feeling like he doesn't have somebody behind him to protect him.
I mean, we'll see. I don't, and I don't mean this at all in a bad way, but Rafi just doesn't seem that kind of player. Like he doesn't seem like he worries about. He doesn't seem like he worries about that kind of stuff. And I don't mean that he's simple-minded. I just mean like Jesus, Rafi. How many?
Anyways, we're gonna
at least that one was a strike. But I mean, a backwards K with the bases loaded. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to the 5th inning here, where we are going to talk about our favorite matchups of the past week. Who would like to go first on their matchups of last week? There's a few that I was very intrigued in.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go first. I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'll say it again. My favorite matchup was the Guardians and the Mariners. Those are 2 young teams, super balanced, very deep. They play a very fun brand of baseball. They move around the bases well. They pitch well. They play defense. They situationally hit, like they do it all. And watching those teams is like watching a big, fast-paced chess match. And quality of the games were great. Series was great. A lot of young players on display. I had a lot of fun watching that one.
I hate that they probably pretty much got that series done and out of the way. Like we're not going to see that matchup later on in the season.
Yeah, I mean they've played twice already in the first 3. It's like wow, load it up.
Played in Seattle, then in Cleveland, like the next series later. So it's like I think that matchup's done. I would have liked to have seen them, early August, mid-August,
for sure.
Those teams clicking.
Let's just see them in October then.
Yeah, maybe that could be a first round matchup.
Let's make that at ALDS.
Yep, could be. How about you, Sean? What was
I thought this past week, I thought there were a lot of really good series. But I'll tell you one I watched a decent amount of, which I was entertained by: Baltimore, New York Yankees. In Baltimore, the Yankees are good. We know the Yankees are good. We know they're going to hit. We know they're going to hit home runs. We know they're going to score runs, and we know the pitching is good. Baltimore was in all those games, and I'm pretty sure Baltimore had a lead in every game too, even if it was early on, kind of 1-0 in the first type of thing. Baltimore's not far off. They're not far off, and this is going to be, if the Red, like I could see the Red Sox kind of teetering around, hanging around, just kind of being in the mix around 500, and then Baltimore hits a stride and they play them in August, and Baltimore sweeps them and blows the doors off. Like, Baltimore's good. They're close. Yep. They're good. They're young. I really like the manager, Hyde. And it was a fun series. I mean, it was a fun series to watch just because there were some home runs for both sides. There were hits. There were runs on both sides, and they were aggressive on the base paths. And it was fun to watch the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees won. They're good. But it was fun to watch the Yankees in a series where it's just like they weren't sure.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was fun.
I have a feeling that Baltimore is going to be a destination for some top free agents coming in at some point here. You know, like, these young guys are getting better. There's going to be some key pieces that Baltimore needs to get them over that hump. And if they can keep this core of young players together, I think it's going to be a destination for some free agent pitchers, you know, a couple, you know, key position players. And I think Baltimore will pay for them, knowing the core that they have.
That's always been the question with Baltimore: is, are they going to pay for the talent? And there's been a lot of players that probably would have gone there, but they weren't going to write the check.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a pitcher, if you're a free agent pitcher, you're looking around the landscape. You know, I'm not saying you're Verlander on the sense like you got a couple years left, you want to go chase another ring, which I certainly have no problem with any veteran player doing.
100%.
But let's say you're you're seeking your first big contract, and Baltimore's on the table. Baltimore's offering you your first big contract. Wouldn't you want to go play with Adley Rutschman, pitch to him every 5 days and get right? Like, they got these young players coming up, or wouldn't you want to go pitch with, why am I blanking on? The young kid they just called up,
Grayson Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rodriguez.
Grayson. Wouldn't you want to go pitch with him? 1-2 punch with him? Yup. Like, it's gonna be an attractive team and an attractive place. I agree, Nick. I fully agree.
I would want to pitch to Adley Rutschman. I'd want to hang with him. I'd want to live with him. I'd want to, like.
Yep.
I would literally be attached to that guy.
Yep. I agree.
He's a freak.
When is John Means expected to be back?
June.
He is coming back. I haven't heard much about him.
June, July, right? Well, didn't he have Tommy John in July?
Yeah, he had Tommy John, but
wasn't it in July? Isn't it usually about a year?
I thought he went down, honestly, in 21. I don't think he pitched at all last year. I could be wrong, but I don't.
Yeah, so John Means.
So I saw a thing that says July is the earliest that the Orioles expect John Means.
2022, he was 0-0. He was 0-0 with a 3.38 ERA. He only started 2 games and he was done.
Yeah, so he had Tommy John surgery. He is pitching bullpens right now, and they think the earliest you'll see him is after the All-Star break. But he's up to 30 pitch bullpen sessions, and he's just been cleared to start throwing breaking balls.
What a boost that would be!
That'd be huge. That's a name I've almost kind of forgotten about.
I love him. I love him. I think he's so good. I think his power pitching, but his secondary stuff, and talk about pitchers with bulldog mentalities. John.
Oh yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, and that's going to be great. I mean, to see him back for sure. My series, it wasn't necessarily a close series, but the Giants going into the south side of Chicago and hitting 13 home runs off them. I mean, it was just an absolute fireworks show for San Francisco.
Sure was.
My God.
Sure was.
It was a home run derby without Chris Berman.
Well, it was the Giants against Luis Robert, because Luis Robert had like 4 home runs that series.
He was a beast.
And that's a kid that we've talked about, when he came up, when we first started the podcast, like, he was starting to come up, and we're like, this kid has the potential to be Mike Trout-esque. Maybe not quite
If he
Mike
can put
Trout,
the bat on the ball.
if he can put the bat on the
Right.
ball, and if he can stay on the field. He's hurt all the time. But
Yes.
I mean, he's off to a great start. He's got 4 home runs, I think. So he's up at the top 2. But yeah, the Giants hitting
Oh,
13 home runs in that
Nick,
one
look at
series.
this play by the ball boy. Look at this play by the Tampa ball boy.
All right, hold on. I'm a little bit behind you, so it's coming right now. It must be a good one, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that ball was torched, and he just picked it to protect the catcher in the bullpen.
Dude, talk about David Bednar.
Also, firstly, oh no.
Dude, what a
Oh,
pick.
no.
Wow.
Don't watch the next pitch.
Yeah, 1-0 Tampa. All right, so here we go.
Yeah, can we talk about the fact there's only been 7 hits in that game until just now?
Brandon Lowe.
Yep, told you, man. This dude's legit.
Dude's got a
Yes.
974 OPS right now.
The dude hit 40 home runs, not last year, the year before. He hit
Yeah, year
39 home
before.
runs.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
he's
then the
legit.
other series that that I watched, I didn't watch a lot of it, but was interesting was the Padres taking 3 out of 4 against the Braves.
Yep.
Pretty handily too.
Yeah, they
So-
they took it to him.
Yeah.
Well, and the I watched quite a bit of the Angels and Blue Jays, which is just a lot of high scoring
Yeah.
games, a lot of slugfest. And again, the Angels are the great tragedy of baseball with all the talent they've got. But I mean, you can't consistently give up that many runs and expect to win a lot of games. I mean, Trout and Shohei had a huge games yesterday. They still lost 12-11.
I gravitating towards the Angels, like a lot more than I have in the past. Like, because I'm able to watch a big chunk of the game now
Yep.
that I can get 3/4 of the game over by 11 o'clock.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
like seriously, and it's been cool to kind of watch them. You know what contract I think the Angels are kind of wishing they didn't sign is that Rendon contract.
That contract's terrible.
He
I saw a
has
graphic.
not done anything.
I saw a graphic, and the time he's been there, he's got like 144 hits and 228 missed games.
Ugh.
Whew.
Like,
God.
it's horrendous. They've got nothing from that guy, nothing. And now he's suspended for trying to, fight a fan. It's like that's been, he had such a great run in Washington, and then he took the payday, and he's been awful since.
Well, and I mean, he wasn't even like he was good in Washington. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't that contract good.
No,
But it just shows when you're hot in the playoffs during your contract year, you're gonna get a big
Well,
payday.
and keep in mind too, when he signed that contract, there were like no other good third baseman free agents.
Right.
And at the time, he was one of probably the top 5 guys because guys like Matt Chapman were like brand new.
Yep.
You had a lot of young guys that were just breaking in that are now, better than him. But he was the best of a pretty thin bunch a few years ago.
Guardians just beat the Yankees.
Nice.
Emmanuel Class A.
He's nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, you're the Sox. You look at a situation, a game like this, you're probably going to lose this game 1-0. You can't say you didn't have chances. Pavetta pitched his balls off. The bases loaded in the top of the 8th with your best hitter up, and he takes a backwards K for a ball done. Like,
Yeah. Can't happen.
it can't happen. I mean, it's
No.
or you can't expect to win, right?
Yeah.
Like you if you watch this, like I've watched every pitch this game, you could feel that something was coming in the bottom of the 8th. You can't let an opportunity like that slide by. Like you knew
No.
something was coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So you just got to
All
learn
right.
from it. You got to be better.
You leave the bases loaded, you fully expect to give up some runs the next inning and make it hurt.
That's
Yeah.
how it works.
All right, let's move on to series in the next week, and see what you guys got for next week. What's
Like
the series?
upcoming?
Yep, upcoming week.
Yeah,
What's
I got-
your matchups?
I got 2. So I'm
Yep,
going.
nope.
The 2 I got Rays and Jays. I think that'll be a lot of fun. A nice AL East battle. See where the Rays are coming out of this Red Sox series. But the Jays are a team that we've talked about, super talented. They could win the AL East. They seem they're scuffling a little bit right now, trying to figure out who they are and trying to put it all together. Other series for me is the Rangers and Astros. I think it's going to be a good chance for the Rangers to, measure up here early in the season to see if, how big that gap is to the Astros.
Agree.
And the Astros have proven it in the early part of the season. They're not, that's still a rock solid roster and they'll be there in the end. But they're getting off to a little bit of a bumpy start as they integrate new guys and they miss Altuve, and I think they're missing Verlander right now as that rotation kind of settles in. But they're human, and it's a good chance the Rangers see where they stand up against the perennial contender.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'll take first Giants Dodgers of the year.
Oh yeah,
those are always good. I mean,
Always.
it's tonight 9:30, tomorrow 9:30, Wednesday 9:30.
Yep.
Sign me up for all three of those. So
Yeah.
First Dodgers Giants of the year. I think the Giants have they can hit, and they've hit Nick talked about the home runs they hit in Chicago. I still think the team is fine. The San Francisco Giants team.
That ball that Conforto hit last night, my God, dude.
Yeah. Well, that was what 20 whatever year 18 New York Mets that was playoff Conforto just stinging the ball.
Yeah.
Give me Dodgers Giants. I mean, it's throw records when those two teams play. Throw records out. It's a bloodbath. How are we taking do we not know that you can swing at fastballs with two strikes? Why are we taking these fastballs down the middle with two strikes?
Yeah. Yep. I have a feeling this game is just a microcosm of what we're going to see from the Red Sox this year.
But have we not I recognize that I'm oversimplifying this, right? But
it was right down the middle on a tee.
That was not hyperbole. That was right down the middle. I mean, growing up, right, through high school, even through college, I mean, it's with two strikes, prepare for the fastball, foul everything else off. Right? I mean, that's what you do. Don't get beat looking with a fastball.
Yep.
And it's Raffy to end the eighth and Turner to start the ninth. You can swing at those, those are actually pretty good pitches to hit.
Yoshida's going yard right now. Anyway.
Two strikes, simplified. You're looking to go opposite field, let the ball get a little bit deeper. Just don't get beat on it.
Yep. The series that a couple for me, Brewers Padres, I think is going to be a good one. Just to see if the Brewers, keep this roll going, the 7-2 pace. Padres are so deep; they're such a good team. I like that matchup. And then I think I'm with Harrison. Rangers Astros is definitely going to be a tune-in series for me for sure.
Yep.
I'd like to say I could tune into the Orioles, Nationals, or Braves, but we all know that I can't. So it's great
because you're blacked out of 9 markets.
My God, it's the worst. But yeah, I mean, this week's matchups should be pretty good. So we'll talk about the results of those next week. We do have AL and NL Player of the Weeks before we get on to our rounding third question. For the AL, Matt Chapman had a ridiculous week. Seemed like every time that guy got up, he just laced a double into the gap. He hit 464, 1.373 OPS, 2 home runs, 12 RBIs for the week. And then the NL Player of the Week, I should just say the NL player against the Red Sox, Brian Reynolds, hit 480, a 1.584 OPS, ridiculous. 4 home runs, 12 RBIs, all against the Red Sox. He had 2 multi-home runs. He had all 4 against the Red Sox, didn't he?
No, he had 3 out of the 4. He had 1 going into the series.
My bad.
No, I'm just saying. You asked.
Yeah, I know I did.
I mean, geez, Nick, give it the program. But what amazed me with Reynolds is that he's not a really intimidating looking guy. He's not a big dude, not a really largely built dude. He just makes really solid contact, and he's got great hands.
You can't make a mistake against him.
No.
He will lose it.
But it's, I just think this is where I think the frustration comes. I Reynolds specifically, but the Pittsburgh Pirates overall, I love their approach at the plate. It's an aggressive within the zone approach. It is, we're not going to expand the zone, but I don't care if it's a first pitch fastball. Some teams, and I think the Red Sox are one of them, quite frankly, I don't think they are aggressive enough within the zone. And I don't like the Red Sox approach at the plate. And I know they just went into Detroit and scored 14 runs in one of the games. I mean, it is what it is. But the Pirates I like. They will – strikeouts are going to happen. I mean, you're going to – but Reynolds is he is – Nick, you said you can't make a mistake to him, right? even if you don't make a mistake, he's going to hit the ball hard
Right.
because you know that you have to throw a strike because you know he's not going to swing at balls out of the zone. But if you put it in the zone, he's going to be aggressive and he's going to hit it hard.
Yeah.
He's
Absolutely.
just, it's never a comfortable at bat. Reynolds, I don't care what the score is in the game. He's never a comfortable at bat because he is just such an aggressive hitter.
Well, he makes you pitch to him. Like, he doesn't beat himself up there. Like, he makes you come to him.
Absolutely.
I wish more guys did that. And to your point, Sean,
I agree.
I've hated the Red Sox approach to the plate for the last few years because I feel like they take way too many middle fastballs early in the count. You know, they're waiting to get deeper in the count. And I used to love the fact, like, Manny Ramirez, you threw him an 0-0, 0-1, 1-0 fastball in the middle. That thing was on the friggin' street somewhere. It didn't matter the count.
As it should be.
He was hitting it.
As it should be.
You make a mistake like that in any count, it should get crushed.
But I just think like it just goes overall. And I know I'm harping on tonight's game, right? But it goes overall. Like if you're telling these guys, if your approach to these guys early in the bat is, hey, be passive. Let the pitches come to you. Be passive, be passive, be passive. And then you get to an at bat in the 8th inning with the bases loaded, and he just challenges you with a fastball and you're caught looking because you've been passive all game. Of course you're like, that's in your brain. Like it's in your head. It's in your,
right.
Like, wouldn't you rather your guys be, and I'm not saying be aggressive swinging at everything he throws, but like aggressive within the zone. If you're going to throw me a fastball, I'm not going to let a fastball by. I don't care.
It's not only that, it's the game situation, right? You have the closer is in the game with a lead. You know he's coming right at you. With no runners on, you can't take that pitch down the middle, Justin Turner. You can't. You know he's coming at you.
And I also understand Justin Turner knows what a strike is. So he clearly means he was looking for something else.
He was
right?
guessing.
He was looking for but you can't do that.
Right.
Right? Like you go up, you're ready for the fastball, and then you adjust and follow off everything else.
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to our rounding third question of the week was, what is the best fantasy baseball name that you have heard? So we had a couple responses to this. Chris Buckner said R to the Izzo, A to the Renato had been his for a while.
Nice.
Like that one.
Yeah.
Vinny said Mother Tucker was his.
Yep.
For a while, and then Feel the Burns is this season. So it's a pretty good one. And then Nick Fanning's is ridiculous. I'm in Bloom.
Yeah, that's so bad.
It's so bad. But there's some pretty good ones in our fantasy league this year that we like.
My favorite of all time was Burns when I pee, and it was just the capital P like pitcher.
Yep.
Oh, I like that. That's clever. That's clever.
Yep.
I saw a new one too. I loved Machine Gunner Henderson.
Oh, that's a good one.
And CJ Omicron variant. That was pretty good too.
That's a great one.
I found a whole bunch of good ones.
I love Sean's this year, Wander Vision. That one is amazing.
Thank you.
I saw somebody with Waka Vision, which I thought was pretty interesting too.
Waka Vision. And then also Chris Buckner has From Dusk Till Vaughn. That's a good one.
That's a good one, yeah.
Mi Casas, Su Casas.
Yeah, Angels in the Trout Field.
Ooh, I like that one.
Or one I saw too, I just put a link to a page. It's got a million of these things. One was Men Behaving Adly.
Great one.
Men Behaving Adly. I actually like that one.
I do too.
I liked that one.
That's a great one. Or mine, Release Ryan Brazier.
So to the point, Nick. You don't beat around the bush.
No, absolutely not. All right, we'll start heading home here. We have other news to wrap up. We have a little bit. So let's get to the sad news of Adam Duvall fracturing his wrist in Detroit. I would like to personally apologize to Red Sox Nation. I did put out a post with Adam Duvall's stats, and I said it's going to be so nice to see this guy. Hopefully he can stay healthy. And no joke, that afternoon he lays out and fractures his wrist, and I was like,
and literally, I think you sent Sean that text message of, this guy is literally slugging 1,000 right now, and like 5 minutes later he's out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was like, great.
Listen,
I legit personally jinxed him. So My
It,
bad, Red
um,
Sox Nation.
It sucks, man. He got hurt. I wouldn't call it a freak play, but freak play. I mean, he's diving for a ball. His wrist gets caught. I mean, I wouldn't change anything about it in the sense that, like, obviously I would change that he doesn't get hurt. But I mean, it wasn't a reckless play.
No.
You know, it wasn't a play in a game that was out of, like, it was a close game. The play needed to happen. It was just one of those things. It's like, shit, it happens. It's too bad. I just don't. I mean, what do we? It's good. It's fractured wrist. They said, right? No timetable.
Yeah.
No timetable for
It's
the
the last I
return.
saw. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, typically that's a 4 to 6 week injury,
Minimum.
but where that was just surgically repaired, they're not sure how he's going to heal or how he's going to respond to treatment.
No bueno.
And I mean, let's call it out how it is. Is like he's had injury histories in the past too.
Big time.
Like when he's healthy, the dude's a 25 to 30 home run
So good.
hitter. He's so good at the plate, and you can see it. You can see the discipline he has. He doesn't take bad swings. He's in the zone with his swings, and he hits it hard all the time. Just a really tough break because he would have been a lot of fun to watch at Fenway this summer. Hopefully he gets back. We get to see him again. And he's, you know, he can contribute and not be like a shell of himself. Because I mean, wrist injuries are sometimes really tough for hitters to come back from. So
Sure.
we'll see.
And his swing was built for Fenway to just launch missiles against that monster.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other injury, this one hurts us personally because we were so excited to go see this guy. O'Neill Cruz fractures his ankle sliding into home plate on honestly probably one of the worst slides I've seen in my life.
Oh, it was awful.
He's on third base. There's a chopper hit to the third baseman. There's a play at the plate. The catcher did everything perfect. He gave him the plate. He gave him a place to slide. And O'Neill just like rolls his ankle somehow up underneath him off to the side. Like it was just a weird slide. And then the bench is cleared. I don't know exactly why the bench is cleared, but
well, I think when the whole thing played out like real speed, his leg was under him, and you could tell he was in pain immediately. And then the Chicago catcher comes and like tags him, but like the tag comes up high because he's like falling back from the slide.
Yeah.
And I think like maybe the Pittsburgh thought that he was hurt, not from the leg, but I think he was hurt from like the glove to the face.
Gotcha.
It was like this. It was maybe.
It was
I mean, that's really
awkward.
the only thing I could think of because otherwise, like, there was nothing. It was not a dirty play.
No.
I mean, the first thing that came
except for the slide. The slide was
terrible.
So bad.
The first thing that came to my head when I watched that was there is no better proof that they don't teach sliding anymore. Do you remember when we were playing Little League? Like I would even say like up into high school, like it was part of like our spring training. Like we would go and there would be sliding drills.
We had a sliding mat.
We had
a mat, and it had that like top like sheet on the top that would bunch up when you slid.
Yes,
and you were supposed to bunch it up at the end.
Yeah. We would practice sliding in, then we would also practice diving back.
Let me ask you this: when do you think the last time O'Neill Cruz practiced a slide other than a head first slide when he was stealing second base?
Yeah,
because I don't think he hasn't done in 10 years.
Based on that slide yesterday, not in a long time.
He didn't know what to do.
No, he was he fell with style. It was really ugly looking.
It wasn't even with style, Harrison.
Well, and granted, you know, he's the dude's 6'7", so like he's got arms and legs for days. But
it's true.
It was just the most awkward thing. It was like a brand new baby deer trying to find his legs. Like it was so ugly.
That's where
great comparison for sure.
So that's where, like, you know, when I said Adam Duvall, like it's a tough break. Like, what are you going to do? If I was a Pirates fan, that I'd be pissed about. Because like this is one of your better players. Like you take away Brian Reynolds, this is like your best player outside of Brian Reynolds is going to miss an extended period of time because of a completely avoidable play. And I'd be equally pissed at him as I would about like the training and coaching staff. Like, what are we doing over there?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he had the whole back like 8/10 of the plate to slide to, and he slides right into the catcher's ankle and just rolls everything.
Bad.
Like
It was just so bad.
It actually looked to me like he wanted to dive head first and changed his mind and tried to go in feet first and just got caught in between when he saw the catcher. But
I agree.
so I think it was one of those. I think naturally you dive head first, but he didn't want to jam his hand or arm into a catcher's pad, so he decides to go feet first, gets caught in the middle, and it was ugly, just ugly.
Goodness.
And it's a really disappointing loss because that team, not that we expect them to keep winning like they were, but they're finally playing good baseball. They're finally worth watching.
Yeah,
he's a big part of that. And then for us, we're going to go see him in a month, and now he's not going to be there. That sucks. He was a pretty big draw.
Yeah, absolutely. So the minor leagues are kind of buzzing right now because Fernando Tatis is rehabbing in AAA now. He hits an absolute Titanic blast off one of the pitchers.
That was a bomb.
And the pitcher just comes back and he goes, it's like, or was asked, like, how does it feel to give up a home run against Tatis? And he goes, that's fine. He's a cheater. Like, it just flat out, called him out. Now, listen, I don't disagree with that. I know some people are like, you know what? Drugs in baseball, steroids in baseball, whatever, let it happen. I don't care either way. But if you're suspended for PEDs, you should not be allowed to ramp up in the minor leagues while still on suspension.
Real quick. Sorry. So 1 minute ago on Twitter, Adam Duvall does not need surgery. So it's just a fracture. So
Nice.
that's good news. That's positive news. All right, continue.
I like that. So his suspension's not up until the end of the month, but he's ramping up in AAA, which personally I don't think should be allowed. He should not be able to play affiliated professional baseball until his suspension is over. So that's what the minor league players are kind of complaining about right now. Not the fact that he's playing or on a rehab assignment, but he's still under suspension.
Yeah, and I think they've got a beef because if one of them was suspended, they wouldn't be playing right now. So it's funny that MLB lets him go on a rehab assignment like spring training, while he's still suspended. You want to go get ready for the season, he should be down in Florida, extended spring training with a coach hitting on a backfield. And then when his suspension is over, he can go back and join a team. But I do think it's kind of a joke that he's playing on a minor league team while suspended. Because in theory, it's all professional baseball, all overseen by Major League Baseball. So why is it different?
Well, I agree. And I think, we call it a rehab assignment for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like if you're hurt or you're whatever, and you're coming back to rehab an injury, completely one thing. To be, to have a sussy that you have to, your suspension's still active. Again, to the point you just made.
Right.
Your suspension is still active. Why are you playing affiliated professional baseball? Like that's what you are suspended from playing.
Right.
Like that's crazy. So yeah, no, I agree with everything you guys said.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't have a problem with him ramping up in AAA. Like I really don't.
No,
but his suspension's
got to be over. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I mean, and I'm sure that after Tatis hit that ball 9,000 feet off that kid, he wasn't feeling great about giving it up. But
yeah, right.
More power to him for saying what he feels. But I hope that he doesn't come across. I hope he doesn't come up to the major leagues one day and he's on Tatis's team and he's got to make amends.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever. A couple cool things before we end. Harrison brought this to my attention, and then it blew up all over Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff. But a D2 kid, Brady Ware for the Indianapolis Greyhounds, hit for the cycle and threw a no-hitter in the same game. Like, that's so crazy. Ridiculous, dude.
Crazy.
Like, we were talking about like all the rare things that happen in Major League Baseball. This one takes the cake, right? This is more rare than 2 grand slams in an inning.
And before anybody says, well, he's only at D2, I don't care if you're Little League. I mean, that is insane to think you did both in the same game.
In the same game. I don't care if it's wiffle ball with your friends. That is outrageous.
It is outrageous.
All right, fair point. Well, the funny thing is, like, they're asking him, and he literally, like, he showed up 15 minutes late to his typical warm-up time, and like he got off to a terrible start to his day and then had the best day of his life.
Okay. And I'm not obviously you guys aren't, but anybody that goes to say, well, he's only Division II, like whatever. There are players that are Major League Baseball players that rehab at like single A first.
Mhm.
They don't even hit for the cycle, let alone hit for the cycle and throw a
Yeah,
no hitter.
very true.
Like, so get out of here with all this. Like, oh, it's Division II.
Yeah.
Like, that is outrageous that he did that. Outrageous.
And honestly, there's not much different. I mean, yes, there's a little bit difference between D1 and D3 baseball, but you still come across kids in D3 that can bring it.
Yep.
You still have guys
course.
that get drafted out of D3 baseball. Like,
Oh yeah.
all the divisions is how much money your
Yeah, dude.
school has. That's all it.
And you know what, man?
That all it breaks down to.
And all that is accurate and true and all this. And it's the game of baseball, which is the hardest game in the world.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's the hardest game in the world. It is. If you get out 7 out of 10 times, you're really, really good. You're really, really good if you
Right.
get out 7 out of 10 times. So miss me with all that bullshit. Like, that's
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic what this kid did.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Unreal.
It's such an
unreal.
amazing thing.
Dude, I won't even be greedy. Just give me one of those in my career, and I'd be happy.
Career. He did it in the same game.
Same game.
Yeah.
It's just mind blowing.
I hit for the cycle one time when I was in high school. I was playing like this like town like fall ball league. And I hit for the cycle. Oh man, dude, I peacocked around the house for like a week. It's like the coolest thing in the world.
Dude,
Yeah.
no part of me has ever hit a triple in my life. No part of me.
My very first varsity hit was a triple. I think it was the only one I ever hit. But
Dude, when I hit mine though, I broke my ankle on the first. I was hitting lead off for the game, and I was the first batter of the game, and the field was like just in terrible shape. Like these idiots that kept the field where like the bases go, instead of putting in like the base, like the plugs, they just like dug a hole, and then they just like put the base on top of the hole. It was like, oh well, this is where the base goes. So I was legging out an infield single, and I like stretched, and my foot went in the hole. It just snapped. So like I fractured like the outside bone on my ankle. But I played the rest of the game. Like I had the high top cleats and I like tied them real tight, and it was like really bad. But then my next at bat, I hit the double, and I'm like limping to second base. In the freaking coach, we had this just clown of a coach. There was a single to left. The next batter, he tried to send me home. Like he tried to wave me around. So like I stopped at third, and he's like in my face, like, when I send you, you go. I was like, guy, I can barely stand right now. Like I don't know, like what you want out of me. Like I'll do the best I can, man. But I'm not like I'm not legging out. You know. Anyways, but yeah, I didn't throw a no hitter that game. So
yeah,
So
I opened first game of my senior season. I threw a no hitter against Dover High School, Dover, New Hampshire, and I had a single double and a single double grand slam and a 3-run home run. Best day of my entire life. Not a cycle,
oh, that's awesome.
but I was
That's
4 for
sick.
5 with like 9 RBIs, and we won the game like 15-0. But
That'll work.
that was the best day of my life. No hitter, 2 bombs, and I did it in front of a bunch of scouts, which was even better.
That's
That
sick.
game will work.
Yep.
All right, since we're talking about career games, my best one was
Bring it.
my most memorable one was I played Deering at Havelock Field where the Sea Dogs play. I looked foolish in my first 2 at bats, go down swinging. Next 2, first one bomb, dead center field, 3-run shot, and the second one was over the clock and left. So I had 2 bombs at
Oh wow,
Havelock Field
bombs.
in the same game. That was ridiculous. That's been my career game, but
Nice.
I had a 1-hit shutout. I think that's the closest I ever got to a no-hitter, but
Yep.
the fact that this dude did it in one game is mind-blowing.
It's silly.
Phenomenal.
I don't know anybody that's done. I don't know anybody that's done both of them separately. Forget about
right.
in the same
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Dude, how
Yeah.
about that chick from Oklahoma that hit the cycle in home runs? Did you see that last year?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
That's
The
insane.
solo double 2-run 3-run grand slam.
Like
That's wild.
what a home run cycle. All right. Well, since we're talking about weird, crazy baseball things, right? The Chattanooga Lookouts. This is a AAA team.
And this is a real story too. Pay
This
attention.
is a real story. They get no hit and they won 7-5. They won 7-5 and didn't record a single hit. They had
Now,
no runs, no hits until the 7th inning, and the 7th inning proceeds as follows: walk, fly out to second, walk, strikeout, walk, 3-base error. Everyone scores. Hit by pitch, hit by pitch, walk, hit by pitch, K. And the Chattanooga Lookouts win 7-5.
I mean, if you told me a team got no hit and one, I'd say, oh yeah, what, a 1-0 game with like a bad error or
Yeah.
something. But
You
literally,
get
like,
like, oh,
7
you're
runs
like-
and no hits.
you're like, yeah, it's like walk, stolen base, bunt to third, sack fly.
Right.
Great run. Like that.
Exactly.
Nope,
Manufactured
7 runs.
run.
7 runs and no
Oh my
hits, dude.
God.
Like,
That's wild.
it is just every week I see something different in baseball, and this one like blew my mind. I was like, 7
Okay.
runs, no hits.
Imagine if you're at that game, right? Like you got to look around to like the person near you, and be like, "Are we watching the same game? Like, what is happening here?
What
Like,
universe
what's
is
going
this?
on?"
The pitcher thinks it's dodgeball or something. He's just,
Like,
just creaming
dude,
all these
no-
batters.
No lie, when you read it out in succession like that, it just goes hit by pitch, hit by pitch, hit by pitch, strikeout, hit by pitch. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It's just
Was
out
this
of
Brady
control.
Singer in the World Baseball Classic? Like, what happened?
My God.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, they had 2 outs and the bases loaded with no runs, and then it just falls apart just
Yeah.
completely.
No, sorry, that was Daniel Bard in the World Baseball Classic. I can't blame
My
Brady
God,
Singer for that.
yeah.
But it makes you wonder too, like, how many pitchers did they go through in that inning? Because there's no way that was one guy that was just walking and hitting everybody. Like, there's
I mean, if it is, you're the worst manager of all time. Like,
fair point. Fair point.
My God,
That's-
I just
that's
Even
horrendous.
Boone wouldn't leave someone out like that.
Wow. And
Even Boone.
hey,
even
look at that.
Boone
You got
would
your,
come
you got
get
your
a guy.
Boone shot for the weekend.
Even
Yeah.
Boone would come get a guy.
I mean, at a minimum, Dave Roberts would have been told to go get him, and he would have done it.
he's your
Yes, true.
Magic Johnson calls down from the
Right,
front office. Hey,
right.
dude, you awake
Yeah,
down there?
Yeah,
Go
dude,
get
take
him.
him out. Seriously.
My God. Yeah, I just saw that and I was
That's
like,
wild.
wait. I was like, how did this even unfold? Because like I was just like completely like his mind was blown at that point. It's like,
My-
how do you get 7 runs across?
Yeah,
with
my
no
head
hits?
exploded looking at the box score, trying to figure out how that's possible.
I still,
Do you
even though
think-
I read it
do you
off,
think-
like I still want to see it played out. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
I
got to
know.
be some video clip out there somewhere, but
So who did they? It was the Rocket City Trash Pandas they played against, right?
Which is which is a great name because they are clearly trash pandas.
I love the Trash Pandas. I just
think-
erased it. I can't remember who they played.
Oh, okay. I think that's who. Like, if you're the Rocket City Trash Pandas, like, do you even kind of celebrate the no-no? Like, you still had a no-no.
That's a fair question.
Like when the dust settles, like 3 days later, you come in and be like, "Hey guys, we had a no-hitter." Like,
Yeah. Are you guys high
didn't
fiving
have
in the
any hits.
dugout or in the clubhouse after the game about that?
It would even be better if it
Oh,
was
man.
a single pitcher. Like, coach, don't take me out. I got a no-no going.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
Dude.
horrendous.
I mean, my God. It's
What's
crazy.
amazing though is you think about it, and walks and HBPs, those are earned runs. So the
Mhm.
guy's got the guy gave up. Well, I guess 3 were unearned on the error, but you could say there's probably 4 earned runs and a no hit,
4
and a
earned
no hitter.
hits. No hits. His hits per 9 just plummeted, and his ERA went up.
His whip is 0, and his ERA.
Yeah,
his
it was-
ERA
Well, no,
is.
his
Against the Trash
his whip's
Pandas.
not 0.
Oh, so the
His whip's
walks.
not
Yeah,
0.
that's
He
right.
walked a ton of guys,
Yeah, that's
but
right.
his hits
whip
per
is still
his
really
H
high.
per 9, his H per 9 went down, and his ERA went up.
Oh, that's so bad.
Unless you're calling hitting batters part of your hits per 9, because
Yeah.
but my God. Yeah, it was the Trash Pandas they played, but
Yeah,
amazing.
that's what I thought.
oh man, it's so great.
You will never
right.
see that again.
I mean, it just absolutely nuts. 7 runs, no hits. This, my God. I might actually go try to find that video clip and see how it actually played out, because
Yeah.
it's going to be insane.
If you
Oh,
find
yeah.
it, you have to put it on the Facebook page so we can all see it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. That's all I had for tonight. What do you guys got? You got anything else?
I'm just gonna
No, man,
add
good.
real quick that MLB just put out some information earlier, or I guess late this afternoon, that the obviously the rule changes have sped the game up great, but also that the batting average across the league at this point in the season is actually up 16 points from last year. They're attributing that to the shift working. I'm sure there's a lot of factors that play into that. I think it's more you've got some pitchers that have been gassed and all that because of the clock, but they're looking at, there's more hits, more offense, more activity. You're viewing that all these rule changes as a big win.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with it.
I don't think it's
Baseball's been
necessarily the shift. I don't think the shift really.
I think the shift has played a significant role in allowing more hits.
You think so?
I do.
Dude, Joey Gallo right now is batting 278. Just saying.
Well, him alone, he's probably got.
Listen, all joking aside, if he continues to hit like this with the home runs and the power and all that, like, this is going to be he'll be a fun comeback player of the year candidate story to talk about late in the season, because he was a guy that we were saying like that he wasn't even good enough to play in the bigs. And now, like, here he is being a major contributor in Minnesota.
278 with 4 bombs.
This would be a fun one to talk about. That'll be a fun one to talk about. No, I think the shift is working in the sense of, and maybe like, if we're going to look and be literal and just say, well, how many balls are going through the hole that the guy would be at? Like, maybe not that many, but it changes the way, not allowing the shift changes the way you have to pitch to hitters, right? Because, like, if you know that you have that extra fielder there, like, you're just going to pound everything inside, because guys that pull anyways are going to pull that pitch.
That's true.
And so, like, now you kind of have to pitch them a little bit. Like, you can't just rely on this guy to roll over to the extra player on the other side of the infield. Like, you have to approach him differently. You have to pitch him differently, which then, forces him to hit differently. So I think in that sense, it probably has worked. It's a short sample, though.
It is.
I mean, we'll see how long it lasts. But
it is, and I think that I think for the first 2 weeks of the season, it's been the baseball's been really good. I think this is probably the better first couple weeks I can remember. The baseball's been good. It's been competitive. Agreed. There's been a lot of action, a lot of activity. The games are not dragging on. So, I mean, I look at it as, I think although I still don't like the clock, I feel like it is actually serving a purpose, and it's helping keep things moving. And as much as I hated it, I'm finding that the flow of the game and the action is actually probably better than it's been in a while.
Yeah, I like it. I think the clock is just as big of a factor in the batting average being up as much as the shift.
Stolen bases too are way up.
And no question. I just think we talk about the hitters having to be ready at 8 seconds in between every pitch. Like, the hitters are just ready to roll.
Yeah.
Like these hitters, they see a pitch, whether it's a pitch they take, a pitch they foul off, whatever. They see a pitch, they're in a rhythm, they're back in, they're ready to roll. Like, there's none of this, like, pitcher takes a walk and all this nonsense. Like, so I think that helps the hitters as much as anything.
I've also
just staying kind of in that rhythm.
I've also noticed that they get 20 seconds when the runners are on base. And wow, what a bunt.
That bunt is amazing.
That's a fantastic bunt.
One of the best bunts I've seen in a long time.
Was that Guillorme? Yeah.
Wow, that was a good bunt.
But the pitchers aren't even pitchers aren't even using like half of the 20 seconds. Like, I feel like they're almost taking less time with runners on base than they are when there's no runners on. It almost feels like they.
Well, it's 15. It's 15 when there's no runners on.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, and 20 with runners on. But it seems like they're like almost releasing the ball before the 10-second mark when everyone's like ready.
Oh yeah,
like they're using less of the pitch clock.
I see what you're saying.
With runners on than they are without runners on.
They're getting the ball, they're getting back on the rubber, and they're throwing. I think that they kind of get in a rhythm where basically the pace eliminates the pitch clock need. They're ready to go, and they're going.
Absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see. 3 or 4 months into the season where we're at. Like, are the pitchers going to build up the stamina? Are they going to be gassed? Are they going to be more gassed because it's a longer strength of time and they're sprinting, all the time? But I don't know. I mean, it's been a good change. It's been an exciting change for sure. These first 2 weeks. So
I think it's been to use a baseball term, I think it's been a home run so far.
Absolutely.
Well played.
I'm going to keep watching them.
Nice job, Skip.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for tonight, fellas?
No, that's it.
All right.
Good week of baseball.
All good.
Absolutely. We will we'll throw out another question of the week next week. And you guys can chime in on that. You can join us next week for a discussion at 8 p.m. on Mondays. We're always here. So we will see you then. Just make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share, listen wherever you can, and you can
check for us on Spotify and iTunes when you're in the gym or in the car.
Absolutely. And you can always come in and chat, and your chats will come up on during our show. We'll talk to you while we're here live. So we'll see you next Monday at 8 p.m.
See ya.
See you.